started the recording then.
You stopped, I think. I started actually.
Oh, is it? Okay, it is started. It has started.
Okay.
Okay, good. Thanks, Abba.
Okay. Thank you. Start.
So, yeah, so see, Ramana Maharshi, as I was trying to say, no. So today's our topic is this Ramana Maharshi's core thoughts from his teachings. But before we go there, in case if you guys still did not know, or I think most of you already know this, but it is still a good recap. So one of the aspects of Ramana Maharshi was that hundreds of people, if not thousands, who came in physical contact with him when he was alive, a whole lot of them had this experience that suddenly they became calm just by either looking at him from a distance or just by being in his presence within whatever distance they could get into, and spend few minutes or spend a little longer. Everything became so peaceful. Was a common experience which has been documented by several people, either in their articles or in their books or in their interviews. And that continues to happen even today. That is, I mean, even personally for me also, that has been the same experience. Whenever I visit Ramana Maharshi's ashram, the reason why I keep going back is because somehow I simply feel pretty peaceful by spending a few minutes there, just closing and sitting in the meditation hall where he was supposed to be spending time. And and the reason why I highlighted this fact is Ramana Maharshi in his core teachings, no, he spoke about. He had a way of defining or questioning people and guiding them towards the ultimate reality, or whatever is just the reality. So for him, in his teachings, he might have, he explicitly calls out whether one calls God, self, I, they all mean just the same one. That is, reality as it exists, as is the summary of his teaching, and is, in fact, his primary suggestion or advice to people to realize this was to go into self-inquiry mode. Whatever is your way of doing self-inquiry, he never said you need to sit this way, or you need to stand this way, or you need to do that way, or you need to do this way. All that was left open to people. And his primary teaching was focused on self-inquiry and reflecting about the entire thought process as the thoughts flow in the mind, and trying to go beyond, or trying to go at the source of the origination of these thoughts. So ultimately, to overcome the thoughts was his primary focus of self-inquiry. That is the way I understand. Okay, and I also continue to practice it. So now, while his teachings elaborate further different things that we can try out, to go there, these 2 pages that I shared in our WhatsApp group few days back, right? That struck me because if you look at our last few months of spiritual circle discussions, be it in this what is this audible forum, or be it in our textual forum in the WhatsApp, so we have been discussing about various aspects, and various aspects in terms of trying to understand this ultimate, or this just the reality, right? And each one of us had some different ways of looking at it. So, for example, we started with some of the scriptures, like either Yoga Vasishtha or Bhagavad Gita. And then we also discussed a few things from Buddha and Buddha's teachings. Satipatthana, and we went forward, right? And we also discussed Veda, or Veda, or Patanjali Yoga Sutras. And we also had some good interactive discussions about sorry sorry guys, so various aspects of Veda as a scriptural library consisting of many uh, Puranas, Upanishads, four Vedas, and some exchange of thoughts based on that. And each one of us had certain inclination towards some of these different aspects of looking at what makes life meaningful, all right, and what is actually life, looking at that, and what is reality, right? So now when we looked at various aspects, um, this 2 page, what I shared on the WhatsApp seemed like a pretty solid summary in terms of core 3 thoughts what Pranavashi shared there, right? The And of course, since Ramana Maharshi, and ultimately, I think everybody, be it, I mean, when we looked at Patanjali Yoga Sutras, again, the Ashtanga Yoga, the final step is all about, again, being one with reality. And when you look at Bhagavad Gita, it again talks about uh, feeling or realizing one with the Supreme in ourselves and everywhere else. And the same goes even for Buddha, that self itself does not exist. And we are always interdependent on some basic combinations, or it's basically just the reality as it is. There is no self, is the way Buddha puts it. But whatever is the path that we look at, everybody's primary, I mean, the ultimate, the final step seemed like getting rid of any kind of attachment or identity that we get used to, making us whatever we think we are, right? And so that thought is what Ramana Maharshi also explains as the Ajata path. At least in this book, it is called as the Ajata doctrine of Advaita Vedanta. And the words that I mean, but before even going into this, he clearly called out that each one of us get attracted to these different schools of thought based on our taste and our capacity, because each one of us come at different levels, whatever combination that we are currently consisting of, that tends to make us go through one of these paths, right? And at least here clearly shared his thought, especially this was done on what 15th March 1946. This specific thoughts was shared on that day, 15th March 1946. So he called out that depending on the capacity of the person, you go through each of these paths, but ultimately everybody will come to the same point, which is one reality, right? And that was the starting point. Okay, and he shared some of the thoughts with respect to these 3 aspects. So before I go to these 3 aspects, what he shared here in next few minutes, any quick comments or thoughts?
So far, so good.
Okay. Okay. So then let's probably review, or let's talk about these 3 parts. What he said primarily that most, I mean, all of us end up taking. All right. So the simplest or probably the most direct path is to accept reality as is. And what does it mean? So he also has a definition of reality in another page, but rather than going into too much of theory there, so if I could put it this way, he simply says reality is there is no birth or death, no projection or drawing in, no striving, no aspiring or no aspirant. And he even says no release, no bondage, no liberation. And finally, he says the one unity alone exists forever. So simply put, at least the way I understand this, is reality is right here, right now. There is nothing that you really need to do. There is nothing to do to realize other than just realizing. So there are no additional steps to take. That seemed to be the summary of this most direct path of teaching by Ramana Maharshi, right? And but then this can be a little hard for people to accept, right? For any of us to accept. So this is where we may ask questions like, we see so many people around us. There is a solid world with so many variations all around us. So how do we address that point? Becomes the question. And we see ourselves as individuals, and we see many elements, material elements that we use, and even some ideas and notional entities that we see. Aren't they all existing then? When that question comes in, he says, yeah, so if you think that way, it is like experiencing a dream, right? In dream, when we are sleeping, whatever we experience, they are all pretty real for us, especially during the dream. But once we wake up from the dream, they become unreal, right? But because of the short length of the time for this dream period. And but we can easily accept that fact that they are unreal because we have that notion of waking up and seeing that it is no longer there. So this way of looking at things, he calls it as a drishti srushti vada. That is, because I saw it, all the things that I'm seeing existed for me. So this is another way of looking at the reality. But as we go deeper, ultimately we go towards again one reality, because dream itself is unreal. That means everything that I saw in the dream is also unreal, is something. When we realize, again we will go back to that Ajata doctrine or one reality doctrine. But before going to that above level, if there is one more level that he talks about here, which is for many of us, since there is this waking up and then looking around, dream was unreal, so that means I exist still, right? So that means there is a thought, somebody must have created me, something created me, as a firm conviction or a firm thought that again creates the entire world for me, right? So I question, how did I exist outside the dream? How am I existing outside the dream? Then becomes the next question. And therefore there is one more thought that he suggests. So you may, or we may equate that to saying some being created all things, right? So that means there was this entity which is called as God, and this God created all these things, and therefore because he created, I came into existence, and because I came into existence, I'm seeing all this. So here the flow goes srushti, then drishti, and all the things that we experience. So this is a much simpler way where it becomes little easier for us to digest all things that we see all around us. And as we go deeper and deeper into this mode, again, especially if we apply self-inquiry here, again, we will probably, or I think, so in fact, if I look at, this is my journey as well, has been over last many years now. So I also started this way only. So that means I saw things everywhere. And I initially started with this notion or a belief of some superpower created everything, and therefore I'm seeing everything and I exist. And then as I kept doing the self-inquiry and exploring different paths, so slowly started changing that worldview into I see all this because I exist. So that drishti srishti vada became so real, at least in the sense of my own journey. And as I keep going ahead with the self-inquiry mode, it becomes even more clearer that what is I? I as an individual, am I referring to this body? Am I referring to my thoughts? Am I referring to whatever emotions that I go through? So what really is I, as I keep doing that self-inquiry more and more, and using various mechanisms, be it, let's say, sitting in a place, closing the eyes, and going through the process of meditation, sitting meditation, or let's say going for a walk, and still doing the self-inquiry in that process all alone, or observing, let's say, nature, or the various interactions of people and birds and all things that happen all around me. So all that basically keeps bringing the notion that ultimately all this really doesn't really exist, and everything seems to be fully interconnected. And if you just expand the timeline that we assign to all this inquiry, from, let's say, sleeping and getting out, if it is a 10-minute or a, let's say, 6-hour process, whatever we see in the dream becomes unreal. And if I apply it to even one lifespan, so typically even this lifespan is nothing but just like sleeping and waking up, right? So so waking up is probably equivalent to birth and death, and sleeping is the entire experience that we go through. So when I look at it that way, and when many of us seriously start reflecting further and further, even the lives become just like sleeps, right, that we go through. And when I look at it that way, everything ultimately goes into one single reality. But then again, sometimes this thought goes away and get diluted with the experience that we go through, and we have to, and at least I keep switching back and forth between these two thoughts. But then this thought simply doesn't go away now with most of the things throughout the day you do. And this is where the three thoughts, whatever Ramana Maharshi shared here, be it the Ajata doctrine, or be it the Drishti Srishti Vada, or the Srishti Drishti Vada, all seemed interconnected and different stages of different approaches of coming towards the point where you see, as Raju mentioned in the beginning, there is no one or nothing. So in this call, so this is where he kind of sums up Ramana Maharshi in this 2 pages. He sums up by saying all these viewpoints are only to suit the capacity of the learner. The absolute can only be one, as the thought he finally expresses here. That is, we can go with all these different thoughts. They are all as real as we want it to be, but ultimately the absolute is just one. And he also sums up by saying all other methods lead up to self-inquiry finally. But Ramana Maharshi did not stop any of the person or people whom he came in touch with to go with a path of his choice. And he said, actually, you go, you travel in that path, continue to have your self-inquiry in that path, and ultimately you will finally come to the point, is the way he suggested people to go with. And he also called out specifically that Guru will go with the disciple along his own path and then gradually turn him into the supreme path when the time is right. So he gave a good example, that is, suppose a car is going at top speed, and to stop it and to turn it at once would lead to a crash. So simply put, let the individual make his own baby steps, and in the way it suits him, rather than enforcing something to him, whatever is your point of view or your approach, is the way he seemed to have guided a lot of people in his physical existence, and he continues to guide even today, because he explicitly called out Guru is not a physical being. In somewhere else he explicitly says that. But then for most of us, no, Guru in physical form tends to help us connect better, and therefore scriptures suggest having a physical Guru. But both in scriptures and Ramana Maharshi, both of them called out Guru is not equal to a physical being. So it can be various forms of guru, but ultimately that guru tattva is the one that clears out your darkness, clears out unreality from reality, and helps you realize whatever helps you. That is your guru. Is the way even Ramana Maharshi sums up in this final paragraph of this 2-page summary here. So that was my understanding and summary. And let me now pass. We can now debate, discuss, and share some thoughts, what we felt, or what are some of the additional things that we can consider here.
Manju, I have to understand one thing. At one place you said right here, right now, and another place you said that no liberation, no bondage, no many things. Yeah.
Correct.
No birth, no death, and no striving, no aspirant like that. And if it is no liberation, no nothing, then again, why this guru and shishya and trying to understand something the ultimate?
Huh. Good question. So, see, that is the beauty of this life, no? Um, can just because Ramana Maharshi told right here, right now, can we accept that? Can you and I, uh, or let's say somebody else, whomever we are dealing with, can they accept that blindly? Would they accept that
No,
blindly?
no.
No, right? So there
Yeah.
will be these thoughts. Oh,
Okay.
how is that possible? I see Samba as this individual with such a beautiful smile, calm mind, and I see this another gentleman, or let's say this beautiful lady who appears totally different from him. How can you say there is no birth, there is no death, and there is no liberation? Wouldn't those questions arise in us?
Yeah.
And that is why Ramana Maharshi's suggestion was, for such reflections, one needs to go deeper in the path of self-inquiry, even in that path. So the suggestion there was, okay, then think about what is Samba?
Yeah.
What is that lady? What is it that you are seeing here? So and try and dissect slowly like a scientist, deeper and deeper and deeper. And as you keep peeling out the layer after layer after layer, what ultimately remains is the absolute reality.
Yeah, got it,
And
Manju. Yeah. To realize right now, right here, you may have to go through all this. Yeah.
yeah, at least that has been my
Yeah,
correct.
yeah. Got it. If you already realized, you may not require, I think, all this. But realizing that is not easy, right?
Correct. Yeah. And the best part is, I think in some other place he explicitly, it's either I think he only, Ramana Maharshi only. Um, see, the whole point of this realization is, it is not realization uh, over a period of time. So time itself is unreal. Is a thought that Ramana Maharshi shares in his teaching in some other place in this book. Okay, so the notion of a time itself is unreal, and because we make time as a reality, the entire life comes, the entire life in the sense, all the things that we think is life, no, everything comes because of that notion of time and space. But ultimately, uh, when you get into the point of realization, when the notion of time and space falls off, and throughout everything simply becomes one, then you are in that state, what he calls as the absolute state or the reality state. So and the beauty is, at least the way I see Asamba, so the beauty is this thought, what he shared.
Manju left by mistake. Hello, you can hear me, others?
Yeah, I can.
Yep.
Yeah, I think Manju left. I think he will join. Hari was showing the example.
Hello.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Manju.
Manju, welcome back.
Hey, can you guys hear me? Okay. Sorry, guys. My laptop suddenly went into sleep mode and threw me out. So I'm connecting back from the mobile. Just give me 30 seconds.
No, yeah, no problem. It realized that you are talking about sleeping.
Because it's a computer, didn't understand the context.
Okay. I am back on my mobile. Okay. Sorry, guys. So, what were we talking?
Yeah, that reality.
Yeah. So the final point of reality basically is that through all the self-inquiries, finally we will hit this point the way he mentioned. Okay.
Yeah.
And
You said one absolute. Yeah.
yeah, one absolute. Yeah. So yeah, for him, and again, he clearly calls out in multiple places, which that is whether the notion of I, notion of God, notion of supreme power or self, they're all one and the same. He has emphasized that multiple times. And he has also emphasized that there is, for a person to realize, there is no specific way to practice. You choose what works for you, just like we eat different kinds of food, no?
Yeah.
What, and ultimately, the food purpose is at the superficial level to enjoy it through our taste buds or sense buds. But its purpose really is to give us energy, right? So the same way, whatever is the path of spirituality that we choose, the ultimate goal or destination is to make us reach that everything is here right now, and to leave that on a continuous basis throughout the day, throughout the notion of day and night, consistently, which is what even I think in our scriptures it says the Turiya state, beyond the three states of waking up, dream, and sleep.
Yeah.
Hello, Manju.
Yeah, Rajat.
Okay, I'm walking, so you hear some disturbances.
No problem.
But
No
you're able
problem.
to hear me, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So I'm able to connect to these points. I also read those 2 pages. The concept of one reality, one ultimate reality, which is also there in our scriptures and so on. This concept of self-inquiry, when we say that we get things here and now, and there is no effort required and nothing like that. And there's a concept of self-inquiry also.
Correct.
So when there is one reality and everything is one with it, what does a self-inquiry do is always I think about. What is the purpose of self-inquiry, right? So
Yeah.
you do an inquiry when you feel that you have to acquire something. even in our day-to-day activities, I need to do an inquiry because a desire comes in me and I want to be something. Now, if that is not the case, I do not do an inquiry. Now, I understand that people who have reached the state where they come to a level where they say that, okay, I am not the doer and things happen somehow through me, call it energy, call it God or whatever. So they sort of, they don't do the action, right? Because they are one with the reality, or maybe they are completely aware of that reality. Is it because to reach that state, self-inquiry has to be done? Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so actually, Rajiv, when I started this self-inquiry, I too firmly believed there is something that I need to acquire, so I need to get into the self-inquiry mode. So that means I should keep trying to do my best to reach there. But then, as been my experience so far, right? Self-inquiry's purpose is not to acquire something; it is to discard everything. So whatever I think I have, the self-inquiry's purpose is to discard that. Is what I have
That is in
now
terms of body
come to the
mind.
point.
In terms of nature, right? I'm not this body. I'm not this mind. I'm not this thoughts and all those things.
Yeah,
right?
in fact.
So now you come to a state where you.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No,
okay,
please
let
go.
me.
Please.
I'll just finish this. Yeah. So you come to a state where you realize through reading or through listening to people that we are not this body, we're not this mind, we're not these thoughts. But then a deep question remains what we are, right? And then we say, okay, that question also is dropped because if you're not there, then there's no question of answering what we are, right? Again, it sort of leads to nothingnessness, as we speak in Buddhism, in Buddhist scriptures, right? Which to me somehow doesn't connect well. I don't know for what reason. Because when there is nothing, then in our day-to-day activities we can't apply this. This is where I struggle to apply in day-to-day activities. When there is nothing, then what is that I'm doing every day in office, in home? What is that I'm doing? I can't apply that.
Yeah.
You are realizing the dream.
To say that it's a dream again. Yeah, I understand that it was set as a dream, but what is the basis to be set as to be told that as a dream? Because now you can claim that it was a dream, but again there is no basis to claim that as a dream because I see it really now. I see trees and all these things. Only if I know that something else is real, I can claim that this is not real. But when I do not know what is real, how can I claim this unreal? This is what I am not able to connect.
Correct. The sense of his identity for us continues to be strong, and at least see. So if I can put it in my own experience, see, the way I have been using the self-inquiry is, it's not just my intellectual thinking, but in practice, how I apply the self-inquiry is what I have been doing my best to practice, which is when let's say I'm interacting with, let's say, my daughter. So because there are a few things that you seem to get attached a little more strongly, right? And your kid happens to be one of the strongest bonds that we would have as individuals, which creates this notion of you and I, and it creates the notion of everything what life comes in around. And let's say the kid achieves something, or a kid goes through some distress, some challenge. So the way I have been looking at applying this self-inquiry has been observing myself in those moments in life, at least doing my best to observe in those moments this core thinking of one reality and see how I can apply it and how I feel towards them, how I can be detaching whatever attachment that gets generated either physically or emotionally. And it is a continuous process. So if I believe that ultimate reality is to be peaceful always, just go beyond all feelings, beyond body and mind, then I should be able to detach and just go through this without really going through any of these thoughts or reactions, right? So I've been trying to do my best to apply it there in those kind of daily situations. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work, and I go back to some of the challenges what you just now shared.
So there are 2 points. There are 2 things here, Manju, which I thought of. One is the doership, right? Because in our activity, day-to-day activities, there is this notion of I do, or I control, or I have to act. This is one aspect of it. And the second aspect is the reality aspect of it. Whether I exist as a real entity or not is the second aspect of it.
Correct.
Now, the first aspect I could relate. I still exist, but I do not control, which has also been an experience in my life. I think it has been an experience in all of our lives. That even though we make an effort, we do not control the activities around us, which also leads to the point that what the scripture says about aham na karta hari karta, which is I am not the doer. The ultimate reality is a doer.
Right.
Now, in that sense, we can get detached from the doership, and then we can start enjoying the act of doing itself. Sometimes when we detach ourselves from the outcomes and just enjoy the act of doing, we know we reach into a very good state of mind. We also have experienced that. This is what I was able to connect to the day-to-day activities. But when it comes to the point where I do not exist, now that is where I'm just not able to connect to this point. I've been trying a lot after joining the spiritual circle. But maybe the trying itself is a problem.
Probably. But then you can't stop it, because Ramana Maharshi in another place also says he asks us to do self-inquiry, right? He asks us to observe the thoughts and go beyond the thoughts. And some disciple asked him, so then are we not putting effort to even observe our thoughts? Isn't there that doingship to overcome the thoughts itself? There is a thought that I need to keep in mind, that I need to overcome these thoughts as a thought itself. So, and the response that Ramana Maharshi gave is yes. To overcome these thoughts, you need to you need to start some effort from this direction, and ultimately you will reach there. You need to continue in that path, is what he suggested. So it looks like, at least for me, to get rid of this false notion, we still have to go through these steps of traveling in the false notion to reach the ultimate point. And that is going to be a continuous effort. It looks like, at least some point. Suddenly, when that some point arrives, then probably all of us would be all good. But I don't know. At least I am not there yet. So at least it seems to be the journey that I'm going through. But any additional thoughts by Ravi, Vinay, any of you?
I feel this effort. Okay, see, we have a doership and effort, right? What I feel is this: whichever action we do, keeping future in mind, is what we call effort. Okay. Suppose I do physical exercise today, I call it effort because it's painful now, and somewhere in future it reaps benefit. Right? This is what we call it. Correct? Are we all in sync? Okay. Otherwise, we don't. If I am sitting, where is effort there? There is no effort. We don't call it effort. Okay.
So the point that you're saying is effort.
Mind is the problem.
No, I thought this effort actually relies on the notion of a time. That time can be 1 second from now, or it can be 10 years from now. But as long as this notion of time exists, there is this notion of effort also that makes us do something. That's the way I was interpreting what Ravi said. But if the notion of time itself is unreal, then comes the second thing. But Ravi, you express your thoughts first.
Okay. So, which means to say, I would have done something else, but I'm doing something else as an effort, right? That's the definition of effort. That's why we all have a strong feeling that I am putting some effort for everything. Now, if we experiment with ourselves, if we don't do it, okay, if we don't do it, we cannot live without doing that actually, right? For example, if we all say next 1 week, don't put any effort, it's not possible, okay? So, some of the activities we are categorizing as effort, but actually, we are not doing any of such things because our nature will not allow us to do anything otherwise. So, our fundamental question is, I would have lived differently, but some benefit in I am doing something else now. Okay. All these three things are one. It is not that it is a decision that, okay, let me work hard today and save and do, and so that I can live in the future. That's a justification that comes for a natural action which I would have done anyways. So that's that's the question, that's the thought I had when we said we are putting effort, right? Are we really putting any effort anywhere? If we see, my feeling is, I don't think so. There is no other way you would have done.
No, I have a contradictory thought here, Ravi.
Yeah.
The nature of effort, what I felt, is inbuilt in us. You can't separate it out. It is just like I was correct, no? So which means to say,
that's exactly what
That's what Ravi says. That's what Ravi says.
okay.
Exactly. That's exactly what I meant. Means a kid, okay, trying to get up from sleeping position or rolling, we see it as an effort. See, that's what we mean by effort, right? Because there's a difficulty in it. See, wherever there is no difficulty, we don't call it. It's just the word what we have given. Suppose I am given some nice vada to eat. I'm eating. Do we call it effort? No, because there is no pain involved in that activity. Okay. But if I had a tooth surgery and now I'm not able to eat, I call it effort. I'm putting some effort to chew or something like that. So only thing, all that we have, there are actions that keeps going based on our nature. Okay. There are some actions which doesn't give us pleasure. Okay. And such actions, we call it as an effort, and that is what brings the ownership that I am putting it. See, if I have to sit somewhere, I'm just sitting. Okay. Do we call it as I am sitting? No, we don't call it as I am sitting because I'm just sitting. Okay. But if you are supposed to sit in a place for 15 minutes without moving, then it creates a pain, and that is what we call effort. So in I'm also saying the same thing what Rajiv said. There is an inbuilt flow in all of us. Okay. It is like when the Kaveri river takes birth in Talkaveri and reaches whatever that Bay of Bengal. Okay. It's a path. That river has that path. Okay. Every drop in that has to go through that path, but not the same path. Right? Some drop may jump out of the river and get into mud, whatever, blah blah blah, all those things. Same way, Ganga river has a path. Similarly, each of the life has its own path. Okay, that Same way, whether you take a dog or a bird or anything. Only thing is this human, since they can identify a pattern. See, the intelligence is nothing but identification of pattern, and that is high in humans. The more the brain is evolved, the more it stores things. Whatever is stored as in the past and projects in the future, that combination is creating I. If that is not there, I don't know. It is the. I think bird will go as a flow. I guess it just does something on that moment and it
No,
forgets it. Yeah.
Ravi, Kaveri River. Example, Kaveri River. Okay. Kaveri River originating, and there's an action. It goes on its own. Okay. So you don't consider that it's an effort, correct? But
Correct.
in human beings, what we have also observed, in addition to the effort, there is also a state of desire, right? Now, now this state of desire, although many philosophers and religious people have said get into a state of desirelessness, logically that also becomes a desire. Correct? So now the effort evolves because as long as we have this body and mind and thoughts, there is a desire to do something, whatever it is. Based on some people, because of their nature, they are able to realize what they have to do, and they may be happy about it also. I'm not saying that most of the people will be discontent because of desire, but the desire will be there. Correct? Now, are we saying that pull up all your desires which arise in the mind and focus on the entity which is the real, which is what Manju was saying for the past half an hour? Is that what is a summary of what people say, or what is that? Because desire cannot also be somewhat taken off. Whether maybe we can take off desire to eat to some extent, sleep and all those things, but as long as mind is there, I think desire will be there, right?
Correct. Okay. That's all. I mean, you had something to. I mean, that was the point, right?
No, Ravi, that was the point. Yes.
Okay.
Effort plus desire. My point.
See, Rajiv, what I feel is this is the trick nature plays on us, on every creature. Okay. Let us take again a baby trying to a 6 months baby trying to roll. Okay. See, it induces a desire so that it rolls. Okay. Every creature has a desire to eat so that it survives. Every creature desire is kept to reproduce so that that species continues. See, everything is kept in you, okay, which is as per your flow. That is the nature that is kept in each of us, okay. And then having a desire of being desireless is also kept in you because you are in that flow. See, we are all in a flow where each one of us is somewhere. We don't know who is ahead, who is behind. We don't know that. Okay. So somewhere, and the whole nature is continuous movement of physical movement of energy, movement of whatever it is. So that has to flow. To flow it, the technique, what is kept there is a desire and an action. Desire and an action. Desire and an action. Neither you generate the desire, okay, nor you do the action. It is together kept inside you so that you are part of the entire flow. Do you call a kid is desiring to get up and stand? No. Okay. It is inbuilt in them. So that something happens. What is that something happens? The muscle becomes strong, it walks and blah blah blah, all those things. It cannot rest otherwise. Can we tell a kid, why are you struggling? You relax, I will provide you everything. How much ever you say it, it's not going to work. Okay.
Ravi, you don't even call it as a basic instinct, right?
What it may be, you can call it. I don't know what word to use for it. My thing is, we see what we are saying is, we are saying desire comes, I act. That's the statements we use, right? Means desire is something which comes and I act. That's where for a desire coming, I don't take the ownership of it. We feel the desire comes from somewhere. I act to overcome the desire. I act to satisfy the desire. One of this. Okay. See, the differentiation is the problem, is what I feel. Either we treat both as mine or both as not mine. Okay. Somehow I subscribe to both as not mine, because desire comes, action comes, result comes. This sequence is going on and on and on till I don't know where. I don't know whether it ends at all. I don't even think it ever ends. Somehow we feel that we reach somewhere and end it. I don't think so. My thing is, this keeps on flowing forever. Is what that. So there is nothing mine. It comes. I don't know where it comes from, for some reason. And the action also comes. See, when I say no self, or no, what do you say, actor, people ask a question. Does it mean to say without reading you pass the exam? No, we should not differentiate those two. Preparing for the exam is also not mine. It prepares. As a
that is clear.
result of it, yeah. So this is what it is. This is what I meant.
So all is in flow.
But
Is
Ravi,
is my feeling. I don't know whether what is true.
Ravi, Ravi, I have a question.
Yeah.
So, I understand that there was a basic assumption you have kept that whatever is normal, whatever is natural, whatever a person is designed based on culture, mindset, and upbringing, there is a routine, and routine should not be considered as work. The rest should be considered as effort.
No. Should not. I'm not telling it should not be. We don't end up doing it. I'm not telling we should not consider it. See, when I'm just sitting, see, I'm enjoying talking now. Okay, I don't call it as an effort. Okay,
No,
it is
no,
a,
so I get your point. I get your point, Ravi. So in your thought which you expressed, looks like there is a big assumption which may not be true for the entire mankind, because a lot of people with disabilities, people who can't do it, you want but you can't, and each person's life will be revolving around different kinds of situations and constraints and advantages, disadvantages, everything.
yeah.
So do you then say that for each person, this definition of what is effort and what it is not changes?
Yes, it is within themselves. See, what they feel is, that's all. Whatever I do, for a person who has good legs, who has a good healthy, getting up from here and going there is they don't even consider as an effort. Okay, but a person who has some disability, it's an effort for that mind which is putting that effort. Why I brought up this topic was, we are all we all feel that we are putting effort to achieve something, right? Even it may be a spiritual something. Okay, then the question of who is putting effort comes. See, all these question comes because of the basic that this is not effort. What I am trying to say, even before asking a question, who is putting effort? Why are we putting effort? If you look at the bottom line, we are only mentally categorizing something as an effort, something as not. Both of them, we don't have a choice. We can't be okay. If somebody says, why are you going to office if it is a struggle? Don't go. Future, you sit at home. Then you know that your system is not allowing it to happen. That's why, but that also has an associated pain because of which we take a ownership that I am putting effort. But actually, none of it I am doing. It is my nature will not allow me to do otherwise, is what I feel. It just pushes from inside. The way baby gets up from sleeping position to going to whatever it is, whatever every action that we do is a constant push in within ourselves in the form of pain, which I pain, right? There is a pain that comes in, I move from that pain. So similarly, hunger is a pain, I move from there, which is eating. So lust is a pain, when I move from it, it's reproduction. Okay, so each one is a pain. We are in constant pain and we are constantly running. Okay, this is what I and this is my summary.
Yep. So Ravi, again, one last thought, but I'm sure we may have similar views. But isn't this the cause or the reason why all the Indian Hindu ancient scriptures and even the others who follow the same philosophy, they say that make whatever you're doing, make it part of your style, your nature, your existence on a day-to-day basis, make it inbuilt rather than um, acquire. Like even if you look at the Indian education system, right from when the kid was young, they were taught all the good things or what is called as good things. I don't want to qualify that as good things every time, but and make that as part of their upbringing so that they don't do anything extra to achieve something. Because see, our world is a khichdi bisabdi bhat world. We lived in a world which was full of materialistic thing, and now we want to be spiritual. So there is an effort. But what if a person, say a pujari, who has grown up in a temple, and I'm not again saying all pujaris are good, but I'm saying somebody who has lived a spiritual life and that was their way of life, then there was no effort in achieving what spirituality the person would have achieved.
Correct.
The effort comes in only when we miss to realize our what we call as what you mentioned Vinay, on this. The word that I use is swadharma. That is,
Mm.
for example, now Ravi is so natural
Mm.
when he talks about TE topics. Now, if I
Mm.
make that statement, it is very natural. Now,
Yeah,
if I
yeah,
ask him, Ravi, how are you so natural in it? Now, he has no answer to it.
yeah, yeah.
I don't think he puts an effort, which means something is there which is coming naturally in him. This is a swadharma. Now, he's able to realize his swadharma. And when you're able to realize your inner nature, the effort is very smooth. There's no effort. But the point is, have how to realize that our inner nature, because we are so much and that is where the sense organs and conditioning of society comes into picture. So today we talk about effort because most of us wouldn't have realized our self nature, maybe.
Absolutely. So broadly, what we're saying is wherever there is a catch-up required on anything, whether it is on knowledge because you hold a position, whether it's health because you are at an age and stage in life and you didn't do enough in the past, whether it's about giving back to society, giving back to yourself, wherever there is a catch-up required because you got drifted, derailed, um, for materialistic life we all get attracted to, maybe there is an extra to be done. But otherwise, if all the systematic failure would not have happened in upbringing, growing up and choosing what we chose, then many of these things would have been natural.
So, and if I could just add one additional point there. So, Rajiv, what you called as natural in Ravi to express his thoughts today Was he like this 20 years back, when probably he has not yet put in whatever so-called effort to think deeply? Or was he exactly like this before?
No, he wasn't.
Is-
It is. He wasn't.
So,
See,
the point that I'm trying to make here is, if
Hey,
let's say,
guys, I was. See,
uh, I
I'll tell
doubt,
you.
Ravi.
I'll tell
Somehow
you.
I doubt.
No. I'll tell you. I will tell you. In my see, one thing that has happened to me is I have not put effort in my life. Okay, I'll tell you why. See, let us take this coding itself. Since we brought this topic, let me explain that. In my entire college days, every subject I used to get 35 somehow to pass. Okay. Only thing which I was doing was, you don't believe, I used to go to this browsing center, okay, to search for places where Pascal was installed, to do LinkedIn code, that what LinkedIn linked list or something was there, no? Okay.
Linked list,
To
yeah.
do it, even though in my college they had said that 99% will remove it from the exam. Okay. Means that somehow that is the level of attachment I had for that coding. And I used to sit and write some recursive program where 100 lines of code was converted into 5 lines of code and things like that. I could not do means I was restless without doing it. All
See,
other subjects, I used to almost fail, only somehow just to pass that academic thing. I used to do something and pass.
so Ravi, your academics, I get the point, but rather I'm more interested in talking about this whole, what is that, nature or effortlessness, the way to live. So that aspect I'm talking about. See, as I understand, you yourself had told me that 20 years back or 15 years back, you used to read a lot of scriptures. And you yourself have told me that you went to multiple Vipassana meditation courses.
Correct.
Right? So aren't these all efforts for you to reach the point you have reached?
That's exactly what I'm making a point. Is it an effort? See, why do we call that as an effort? It is the action out of my nature at that point in time.
Correct. That
Okay.
is exactly my point. Your nature of being, let's say, crystal clear emerged after going through certain specific steps. And it is going to be the same case for each one of us. The actual steps could be different for each one of us, but there is some steps to take to reach that clarity for all of us.
No, that what I am trying to say is that step happened. Okay. That step happened, and the consequence is this. Okay. So,
Correct.
similarly, whether it is good or bad, okay, I am not telling it is a good and I have reached somewhere. Rather, anything that has a result as of today, it is because of the action that happened few years back or few days back or whatever it is. Even that happened, and this result happened is what I feel. It's not that a step I took. It is the only option I had at that point in time, which happened, and the consequence is this, whether good or bad. That's where the difference is.
Correct.
In our belief. That's all. Where whatever is happening, it's happening in you, it's happening in me. But this is where I'm trying to differentiate. That's all.
That's a fair point. So that means, from Raji's question viewpoint, what is natural in Ravi is natural in Rajiv also, natural in Manju also, natural in Samba also, in Vinay also, and rest of the world also. It is just that.
No. It is not natural. That is what I feel.
No, as per Ravi.
Natural in the sense it is shrouded with many layers. So, and the number of layers that we have shrouded is different for different people. And that is where, the more we cut out all this, we will be able to reach that natural state much faster, or we will reach at some point.
Manju, it is like telling every aspiring cricketer that you can be Sachin Tendulkar.
see, I don't know about cricket or any other walks of life, but I can only talk about spirituality here, which means all of us have only one ultimate point, and which is what the spirituality's goal is, right? So different walks of life may have different endpoints, but spirituality, when it comes to it, there is only one endpoint.
Okay, you're talking from that perspective. Okay,
correct.
Understood. Yeah,
correct.
Okay, understood.
Yeah, right. So this is where I feel it's so the notion of effort, notion of desire, all this, to overcome them, you have to go through the process. I don't think there is a way to avoid it, and I don't think, as Ravi keeps saying, you have a choice also there. Ultimately, you will end up doing all this. That is why even in our scriptures it is said, no, all of us go through this, and finally everything comes to the same point, whether it is in one lifetime or in multiple lifetimes. The end point is the same for everyone. Somebody goes there today, somebody goes there tomorrow. So I was coming from that angle.
Correct. So it is, see, even spiritual, everything is part of the game. Okay.
Correct.
Even material attraction is also part of the game.
Correct.
So that you will move towards something else later, and finally you reach there.
Correct.
So so that it is like, it's like evolution. See, is evolution a choice? No. Okay. But they evolved.
Correct.
Same way, it is not a choice for us.
Correct.
It is bound to take you in that direction. That's the nature's game.
Correct.
Only thing is, we have categorized something as effort, something as, okay, let me try, all those things. Let me try thought is also part of the game, is what I feel.
Yeah. Yeah, good. So on that happy note, it's already 7:50, by the way, guys. So this conversation always is so interesting and engrossing. So time just flows by.
Manju, I have one question before this effortlessness and desirelessness or whatever. From your example, actually, it was interesting for me to understand. You said your daughter, and I can say my daughter, for example. So when they achieve something, we naturally, be very happy because that the bondage what we have, strong bondage what we have, because somebody from our home, right, or our own blood relation, right. So that is what we have. So you said you try to you practice to detach from that thought of something great or something so attached or whatever. Suppose same time when you or me, our daughter got some achievement, we also hear somebody else, maybe our neighbor or from the news channel somewhere, we also come to know that somebody also achieved a similar better than this or something, but we may not be so bonded to that or so attached to that, and we may not enjoy that thing so as much as our daughter does that. So now in your meaning of detachment from there, you should enjoy both same.
Okay, so this is the way I have been using this, is in the moments where there was something from, let's say, my daughter or my people, I do my best to get into this mode. Why should I feel happy? What is there to feel happy? So, and when I look at it that way, at least when I attempt looking at it that way in many scenarios, it again goes back to that feeling I, mine, and therefore feeling happy or feeling sad. So, and if I can, whenever I have succeeded in applying that filter, that if I only don't exist, what is there to feel happy about? What is there to feel sad about? So the whole emotion stops becoming so strong in those scenarios. It pretty much becomes, at least, not pretty much, at least it becomes closer to the same way I feel about some stranger, success or some stranger's suffering. But again, the point, the way I am using this is to see whatever Ravi says, no, or whatever Ramana Maharshi said, that one reality. It is a way of testing how strongly or how much I am able to connect to it in everything that I do and let go this I notion itself in this entire thought process.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, got it. Yeah.
Sambhav, can I also add something?
Yeah, please,
Yeah.
Vinay.
I think it's a very, very good question. A lot of people get influenced by I, me, myself.
Yeah.
I think the core question to be asked is, what are you celebrating? Are you celebrating the achievement, or are you celebrating somebody whom you know or you are connected either by birth or otherwise? See, a lot of us make our life decisions or corporate decisions based on these biases. If you remove that,
Mm,
whosoever comes,
mm,
there cannot be a hierarchy of whom I will celebrate more and whom I will celebrate less. At least that's the way I operate. It does not matter actually.
mm,
In fact, I have a other problem. My son is talented. Many of you have met. He's good. But whenever there is any other point of celebration on the same day, same moment, somebody else has done something, I say it because I feel that way. And sometimes there is a moment where he feels bad that I'm not being appreciated.
mm,
But that's a momentary thing. But should I change my truth or my version of truth, my version of feeling to make my son happy? Or I have a choice of saying and then explaining why I said what it was. Because how will the meritocracy come? Because you dilute meritocracy by being connected with these connections, or we influence our decisions like that. In the corporate world, this is a day-to-day thing. I may like somebody, but may I like everything because that somebody? A
yeah.
lot of our leadership conflicts are because of that. Because we start looking at the language we speak, the association, affiliation we have. That is secondary. When you have both as absolute equals, which rarely happens, then you can say, okay, this may happen. In fact, the entire Mahabharata is all about that. And it's a difficult thing to practice, honestly. I'm telling you, it took me a lot of today for me, and it may sound very rude and bad, but for me, any relation, whether it was my parents, my siblings, my friends, my colleagues, anybody and everybody, spouse, I only look at the merit of what has happened. I don't care, and I actually don't care. If my dad did something wrong at that moment, I said it, and I felt very comfortable with that. Rather than pretending to be a good, obedient student, son, for a lifetime, I would have felt bad on a day-to-day basis. But that moment, I felt bad, and I was done with it. Now it's the choice of the other recipient to say, oh, you as a son, how can you do it? Or the choice was, yes, this was not the way I thought about it, but if it has given you pain, let me revisit the way. There are always choices, and this is not something which I would say that everybody should do because everybody becomes rude. But I am the way I am, and I have developed myself like that because now I have no subjectivity in my decision making in most cases because everything is very objective. But that's natural to me now, and many of you who work with me closely would have seen that. I'm moments I'm angry. 5 minutes after that, I'm comfortable because each each instance, each situation gives me a different next step reaction.
Right.
So I just thought I'll share because honestly, I'll share one specific example on what I said about whether I appreciate graduation day. Um, I was there for my son, and everybody got 3 minutes to give a speech. There are plenty of speeches. My son was among his friends, he's a great orator. He's winning Toastmasters. He's been on the highest rank and all that stuff. But on that day, that moment, he was third among his 6 close friends. And I was floored with the other two. And I said, wow. And one guy I never knew that he can speak. And he spoke the best. I'm a great fan of that guy. And I keep on telling him today also, after now it's 2 years, that, you just floored everybody. Now I have a choice. And they were like one little notch above and less. It was not like there was a huge difference in that. But that was the day. I think this is something which most people in the past who were objective, in fact, the decisions made in Ramayana Mahabharata, if you really look at it, or the others, what I may call as scenarios which are given to us in the Hindu scriptures, they're all very objective. Very less of emotion is there. Emotion is built to sell the story.
Mhm.
Correct.
Yeah. Wonderful thought, Vinay. Thank you. Wonderful experience.
That's very difficult to do.
Yeah, yeah,
People
yeah,
start
yeah.
calling you traitor or whatever, anything and everything. You don't care. I am more for you are not important for like I am not important for you. These kind of things will come. It may sound very rude. It is rude. I'm also telling you because our social setup does not accept that. Because we have been taught that because this is A, B, and C, this is how you have to behave. But I used to do that, but I had my own personal challenges to follow it for a good 35 first 35 years of my life. I was doing only the right things the way it was told to be the right things. And then I said, damn it, I'm the biggest sufferer because of that. Let me choose what is the right thing and what is I'm comfortable doing. And it became very easy for me. So today I have
Effortless.
no emotion actually for a relationship. I have emotion for the goodness and what's been missed.
What's when you believe goodness? Yeah.
Yeah, see, even a stranger who does a good job, I'm so happy and comfortable with that.
Yeah. I got the answers. Thanks a lot, Vinay. Wonderful. Yeah, Ravi, this is beyond, desirelessness and effortlessness. I just wanted to know that, yeah. If you again, if you again add this onto this discussion, it may turns to a different thing.
No, no,
So
no, no.
we will park that conversation for our next instance rather than today. It's already 8.
Yeah, it's already
So
8.
even though the notion of time is unreal, it is still
Another
pretty real for all of us, at least for today.